If you're like me, you love riding your bike and you love your kids and you want your kids to love riding their bikes too. So you want to find a high-end bike that has all the features that is going to make learning to ride a bike as well as continue to ride a bike so much easier and enjoyable for them. But most high-end bikes have a price tag that will not fit in your wallet. That is until now. This is the Nova by Glerc Bikes. It has all those high-end features that will get them up and biking in no time and make it super enjoyable, but with a price point that you as a normal average family can actually fit in your budget. So stay tuned, we're gonna do a full review of this bike and tell you what I like about it, as well as some things that I'm not quite sure about. And I'm gonna grab that wallet before I forget, it's right there. But first, if you're new here, what's up? I'm Jeff. Welcome to my backyard. This channel is Fun-Sized Adventures, where I try to help parents like you build some backyard fun as well as have some backyard fun with your kids while keeping it on a budget. Building a bike, especially for beginner children, that has great safety features, is easy and fun to learn how to ride and to continue riding, and just helps them to fall in love with riding seems like a great idea. But high-end bikes take that mission a little bit too seriously and end up with price tags that are bigger than my weekly paychecks. And I just cannot afford to buy a bike like that for a kid who's gonna outgrow it in a couple years at the most. That just doesn't make financial sense. That's where this bike, the Nova by Glerc, comes in and tries to walk that balance between the high-end features and the low-end price tag. Yeah, the price is still a little bit more than you might expect to pay, but I'm going to explain to you why this is going to hold up well in the long run. You're probably going to be able to get resale value out of this or pass it down if you have additional kids. And I think that it's the best of both worlds. But before we go any further, let's back up and go through the assembly process. When you order a bike from Glerc, it comes 85% of the way assembled in the box. Most of the work you have to do is cutting the packaging off of it. There's a lot of zip ties and foam you gotta get off. That takes about half the time. Most bikes I can do in about 15-20 minutes. This one took a little bit longer, but I think that was mostly my fault. Here's where I ran astray. The front wheel is held on with a couple bolts. The instructions had a page that said, for installing your front wheel with a quick release skewer. So I was searching through the packaging for that, did not realize that the opposing page said, if your bike is attached with a couple bolts. So I spent like 10 minutes searching for this quick release skewer that I thought I had lost, when actually that's what there was never one to begin with. So that's all on me. It includes all the necessary tools you're gonna need to assemble it. So if you don't have tools, no worries. The only thing that it won't include is a pump to pump up the tires. And before we take this for some test rides, let's weigh the bike. Now this is an area where people who make high-end bikes really pride themselves on trying to keep that weight down. The previous bike my son had was about middle of the road. It was around 23 pounds. This bike weighs in at 16.7 pounds, which knocks like a solid third of the weight off. When the FedEx driver dropped off the box, I was like, you sure there's a bike in here? This is too light. Now, you could find bikes that are like $600, $700, $800 that weigh as little as 10 pounds. For the most part, I think that's overkill. If you happen to have thousands and thousands of dollars you're looking to throw at this, then fine, go ahead. But I know that's not most of us. After taking a couple weeks to thoroughly test this bike as well as have this cute little baby, let me break down for you what I like about this. Starting with the weight, like I already mentioned, it's 16.7 pounds and it is super light, super easy. You can tell Miles, who is just about 6 years old, he's probably just about kind of size out for this bike. I probably should have got the 20-inch version, but I should mention that if you go by the sizing on their website, it seemed like he was right in the middle of this. When he sits on it, he seems a little bit big, but that might be that it's a different shaped bike, but also something you should keep in mind that if your kid is getting closer to the top of the range and maybe into the bottom of the next size range, always go for the higher size. But that little baby I showed you a minute is gonna inherit this bike and learn how to ride on it, and he's gonna be psyched in a few years. But back to the lightness, I'm getting off track. We got an aluminum frame, fully aluminum, that makes this super light, yet super durable. Pretty much every adult mountain bike that's not like carbon fiber is aluminum, a lot lighter than the high-10 steel that a lot of bikes are made out of. Also, you might have noticed this looks a little bit different. This has a belt drive instead of a chain. That reduces the weight quite a bit because instead of a chain, you have a rubbery kind of belt here. I don't know the exact makeup of the chemicals that compound it. And then as well as that makes the chainring here a lot lighter. Part of it seems to be almost made out of plastic, which I'll get to that more in a second. So like this has 3-piece cranks. A lot of kids bikes only have 1 piece. These are aluminum as well. So all of that aluminum replacing the steel as well as the belt drive, that really keeps the weight down. If you have never ridden a super lightweight bike, even for somebody who knows how to ride their bike, it's so much more enjoyable. And for a kid who's just learning how to ride a bike, it's so much easier to lean it, to turn it, to maneuver it when they're not straining their muscles to do so. And then let's circle back on the geometry, which I mentioned is a little bit different than like the BMX style bike that Miles was riding previous. This is a little bit squattier, a little bit shorter, a little bit longer. The BMX style, obviously the handlebars go up higher, and this is just a different, longer, lower frame, which is more similar to a adult-sized mountain bike. It's usually longer and lower like that, similar style bars. As well as before Miles got the BMX bike, he rode a balance bike, and a lot of balance bikes are low slung like that. And I think that's what makes this a great step up. If your kid was using a balance bike, they could have a seat low like this. Their feet can still kind of touch the ground. They can balance bike along and then grab the pedals as soon as they're ready. This is called the head tube here. This is a little bit slacker, it's called, where the angle of the head tube sticks out further, putting the front tire a little bit further in front. That really helps keep the bike self-balancing, as well as you can see there's a little curve to the forks here. That all puts the front tire out a little bit further and makes the bike want to go straight, which helps them keep it straight when they want to go straight. Also, when you're taking corners, it helps pull it back to straight afterwards. So the geometry is definitely a good thing, especially if you're coming from a balance bike and if you're going to a mountain bike eventually. The brakes, we've got front and back V brakes that have been working great. One thing to note, and is a great feature for the kids, is they're color-coded. This right one is green, and that's your back brake, the one you want to use most of the time. It would have made more sense if it was red, because red means stop. But that takes a little bit of the guesswork out, because the last thing you want is a kid learning to ride a bike, grabbing that front handbrake and going right over the bars. And I haven't noticed any issues with the stopping power of it. One quick note that I like to always make is there's some little pins here that you can tighten up, and they will move your handbrake in towards the handlebars. If your kid's hands are on the smaller side and can't quite reach those handbrakes, it just makes it a little bit easier and safer in the long run. As far as tires, it has just under 2-inch tires, and they have nice knobby pattern. Not super knobby like a mountain bike, but knobby enough that you will be right at home on the off-road. As well as when bike tires are too knobby, they're a little bit too much vibrations on the road. You won't have that issue with these. They're perfect happy medium. One thing that I'm really psyched on about this bike that a lot of kids' bikes don't have is the space for add-ons. You got a couple bolts here where you would install a water bottle cage. You would need a pretty short water bottle, probably side loading, to get a water bottle in here, but it would fit. I'm looking to get one of those for Miles' birthday, which is coming up. And then we've also got some of those same things here and here, which is what you would use to attach a little bike rack to the back of this bike if they want to carry some of their stuffed animals or something around with them. You could do that, and I appreciate the thought that's given to having those little add-ons. And then moving on to what everybody wants to know, the negatives. Oh! Things that I'm like either not quite sure about or might think are gonna be drawbacks to this bike in the long run. And some of those are not a big deal. Like the first one is this does not come with a kickstand. You could order a kickstand for extra, but to keep the cost down a little bit, they did not put a kickstand on it, which doesn't bother me because I actually don't like kickstands on kids' bikes. I think they're something that gets in the way. Sometimes they get loose and then they can get caught in the spokes, or they keep hitting into the kid's foot as it pedals around, and I just think they're more trouble than they're worth. This appears to have plastic pedals, which is not a deal breaker for me. I think that's perfectly fine. But on their website, it said aluminum pedals. I just thought you should know that they seem to be like nylon or plastic or something. These are not aluminum. And then lastly, like I alluded to earlier, the center of your chain ring here is metal, but then it's attached to what feels like a plastic gear here that just grabs those little teeth in the belt drive. I just feel like if you were to try to ride over a rock and hit that it could break, possibly. I haven't had any issues. Something about it struck me as a little bit less than ideal. Realistically, it'd have to be a pretty good sized rock. As well as one more thing on the belt drive. This isn't a drawback, this is just a little explanation. As the bike ages, the belt might stretch a little bit because it's rubber, but you'd undo these two bolts on either side, and then this bolt here you would extend, and it will push the whole back tire back, tighten those back up, and it will fix the tension on the belt so that it doesn't slip at all. Is that everything I wanted to tell you about? Maybe. Seat's pretty good. Not as cushy as some of the other Glerc bikes I've reviewed, but it'll do fine, and I have no complaints about it. Hand grips, nice and rubbery. Headset, I don't know for sure, but I think this is aluminum on this one as well. Which brings me to where the literal rubber meets the road. The pricing of this bike, this is the smallest 18-inch version, is usually a little bit over 300, and then the 20-inch version is closer to 350, and then the 24-inch version is closer to like 380 or so. Which for everything you get, I think are perfectly fair prices. Like I said, if you're used to buying lower end bikes, especially big box store bikes, then that price could be a sticker shock, and I completely understand. But if you're researching high-end bikes, I think it's kind of amazing that this has most of the same qualities and components, but at a price point that is sometimes $200 to $300 lower. So that's really what you gotta compare it to. But never fear, as usual, I've got some ways to help you save a little bit of money if you wanna buy this. Number one, if you're watching this at the current moment, which is November 2025, the Black Friday sale is currently live on the Glerc website, which will save you a little bit extra on this bike in particular. It's almost $20 savings. Plus, number two, the Glerc website has free shipping, so you're not gonna have to pay anything extra to get this shipped to your door in a matter of days. Plus, number three, you could use my coupon code right here, and that will save you an extra $10 off the purchase of any bike on their website, and will add up to, what is that, like almost $30 worth of savings? That means that you can get some takeout pizza and have a pizza party on me. But if you want to know more info as well as whatever the current pricing is currently as you're watching this, then check out the links in my description. Those are affiliate links. So if you choose to buy, my channel will earn a small commission at no extra cost to you, but that will help keep the lights on here as well as help my kids have some pizza parties. Pizza for everybody. But after all that, if you're super duper budget minded and you think, yeah, that's a great bike, but it's a little bit more than I wanted to spend, check out this video right here where I show you the bike that Miles got last spring and learned how to ride a pedal bike on, and he had no issues with that. Yeah, it didn't have all these bells and whistles, but it was enough to get the job done, and it was a great quality bike. See you over in that video. Until next time, get out there and have a fun side adventure of your own. See ya.